Welcome, dear saints and strangers, to Deseret Radio, broadcasting once again from a station unseen, from the space between faith and fear, from a location known only to those who have ears to hear. The mountain winds have grown restless. The stars are moving in unfamiliar patterns. And the white horse? The white horse is running. Last night, beneath a sky that did not hold quite the right number of stars, the faithful arrived at the coordinates posted by at Iron Roddenon. They came in silence. They came in twos and threes, in caravans of dark-windowed SUVs and rickety handcarts, alike. Some came armed. Some came fasting. Some carried banners bearing the old names, names that once spoken cannot be unheard. And in the center of the valley, waiting for them, stood a single figure, tall, cloaked, motionless. Some say it was a watchman. Some say it was something older. Whatever it was, it spoke. What it said, no one knows. The first to hear its voice collapsed. The second wept. The third fled into the hills and has not been seen since. But, saints, the gathering has begun. And if you listen closely, if you press your ear to the walls of the church, if you stand alone in a wheat field at night, if you let your mind drift just slightly too far in the silence of prayer, you, too, will hear the call. Because the gathering is not over. Because the gathering has only just begun. Now, dear listeners, a few community updates. Brother Harker's chickens are still speaking in tongues. They have begun laying black eggs. He has stopped asking questions. Sister Jacobson's wheat storage thief has been found. The culprit was discovered wandering the Bonneville salt flats, clutching a handful of grains and whispering in perfect Adamic. They had been missing for 4 years. They do not remember where they have been. They do not remember who they are. They only remember the music. We are currently attempting to determine what music, exactly, they are referring to. The City Council would like to remind citizens that dreaming of the Salt Lake Temple but finding extra doors inside is not a sign from heaven. It is a sign from something else. Please report such dreams immediately. And finally, an unmarked van has been seen driving slowly through neighborhoods, playing If You Could High to Kolob in reverse. The occupants are not human. Do not approach. Reports from across the Wasatch Front indicate that the men in white shirts, the ones who stand on corners without blinking, without moving, have shifted. Slowly, deliberately, like pieces on a board. Witnesses claim they have begun forming patterns, grids, circles, alignments that match certain ancient structures, temple layouts, sacred geometry. Last night, in the Provo River bottoms, 7 of them were seen walking slowly, deliberately, in single file. Their ties perfectly aligned. Their name tags still blank, their faces unreadable. And this morning, a glyph appeared in the grass where they had walked. The glyph was in the shape of the Salt Lake Temple, but missing its spires. We do not know what it means. But those who have been watching say this: the watchmen are no longer watching. They are preparing. Out past the edges of the world, where the dirt roads turn to trails and the sky stretches just a little too wide, a community is rising. They call themselves Dwelt, a homestead, a refuge, a training ground, a people living halfway between this world and the next, building Zion in the wilderness while waiting for the second coming. They live by the law of consecration, but not the one they teach in Sunday school. This is the old way, the warrior way. They grow their own food, forge their own weapons, and train for a war the world does not believe in. They claim that the veil is thinner in their valley, that angels walk their fields at night, that when the final trumpet sounds, they will already be ready. No one knows how many dwell there. Some say dozens, others say hundreds. But those who seek them out are met by men in wide-brimmed hats and long coats, rifles slung across their backs, eyes sharp and knowing. "You're early," they say, "but not by much. If you find yourself lost in the mountains, and a child with piercing blue eyes offers you honey from an earthen jar, be careful what you say. If you speak the right words, they may lead you home. If you speak the wrong ones, you will never find your way back." A hiker in Big Cottonwood Canyon has reported hearing music, but not the kind we are meant to hear. At exactly midnight, while camping near the ruins of an old pioneer settlement, she woke to the sound of singing. Not one voice, not two, hundreds, low, echoing, weaving through the trees like the ghosts of long-forgotten saints. She stepped out of her tent, and the voices stopped. But when she turned around, the words "faithful and true" had been scratched into the frost on her tent. She was alone. She's sure of that. But the desert does not forget its own. You may hear them before you see them. A low, steady hum rolling across the valley like an approaching storm. A vibration in the bones. A whisper in the walls. The bees of Deseret are active again. Our local militia/honey production cooperative has been hard at work, preparing for the inevitable and imminent collapse of Babylon. They are diligent, they are precise, and saints, they are watching. If you have committed treason against Zion, if you have ever willingly attended a multi-level marketing seminar or purchased a non-homemade loaf of bread, you might notice a single bee following you home. One bee is a warning. Two bees mean repent now. A full swarm? Well, let's just say that no one has ever seen what happens after a full swarm. Saints, before we close tonight's broadcast, we leave you with this. Something is moving in the canyons. The wind has begun to speak. Not in the way it usually does. Whistling through the pines, rustling the dry grass. No. This is different. Hikers have reported hearing a voice echoing through the red rock, bouncing off the canyon walls. A voice that is neither near nor far. A voice that knows them. The voice whispers a single word. Hoss. It does not explain. It does not repeat itself. And if you hear it, you must not, under any circumstances, answer. Because those who do have found hoofprints in the dirt behind them. The hoofprints lead uphill. The hoofprints do not belong to any known animal. And they do not stop. The Deseret Intelligence Agency has refused to comment. The bees of Deseret have simply nodded knowingly, hands on their Bowie knives. Who or what is Hoss? Good night, Deseret, and may the desert keep you.